Hey guys, so something new today. First time I've ever taught math in sunglasses, but it's too nice to be inside. So here I am out on my front porch teaching math. I'm going to be honest with you, today's lesson is not going to take long. It's a lesson that if we were together in person, we would be able to use these manipulators called tetrominoes, like dominoes, but like it's like combining dominoes and Tetris, combining those two words, tetrominoes. And I'll show you what they are in a minute. But if we're actually in person, we'd be able to cut some out and combine them and make shapes with them and stuff. Obviously, that's not something we can do right now. So I'm just going to show you what they are. And in the rest of the lesson, I'm going to review some of the terms that we've already talked about this week, because it's really important to review that vocabulary and make sure that we have those terms down. That's just what we're going to do today. So it'll be kind of a light day for you guys. You'll see the slides are mostly a review, and then you have one page where you do something with tetrominoes, but it's super basic and super simple. So all right, here we go. So again, let's do the review part first. And with that review, I'm going to go over some of our terms that we've been using lately. And so the first one is polygon. So let's talk about what it means to be a polygon. A polygon is something that it's a shape, closed shape, which means it has no gaps, and straight sides. So I'm going to draw a couple of things here. If I drew that, make sure that's connected, check mark, that is a polygon. It has straight sides. I mean, I didn't draw them perfectly straight because I'm a terrible artist, but it has straight sides, and it's a closed shape. If I drew that is not a polygon because it has straight sides, has multiple sides, but it's not closed. It has a gap right there. It's open, so that's not a polygon. And then the next one, like we could do something like this. Also not a polygon. I should have added there that there's no overlaps. So if there's an overlap, it's also not a polygon. So last example here is, what if I had like an oval or a circle? Even if it was closed, that's not a polygon because it does not have straight sides. It's closed, has no overlaps. Well, mine does, but that's, again, because I'm a bad artist. But it is not a polygon because it has curved sides. It's not straight sides. So it's a shape, it's not a polygon. Let's go to our next, even with sunglasses on, it's hard to see out here. Next page. We will talk about what it means to be a quadrilateral. Quadrilateral is a polygon. Ooh, bug on my foot. Polygon with four sides. Okay, so we talked about some of those examples. We talked about a square. We talked about a rectangle. This is a quadrilateral. That's a quadrilateral. That's a quadrilateral. You could have a parallelogram. That's a quadrilateral. You could have a, I mean, this is a quadrilateral, right? It has four sides, closed figure. You could have, let's see, we could have a shape like this. Oops, I went a little too far there. Let's try that one more time. That's better. Also a quadrilateral. So there are many different types of quadrilaterals. They're four-sided polygons. So they're closed shapes. They have no overlaps and no gaps. We also talked about many special types of quadrilateral. We talked about a trapezoid, which is the one I just drew down here. We talked about parallelograms. We talked about a rhombus, which is a parallelogram with equal sides. We talked about rectangles and squares. And we talked about squares are super special because they fit into all these other categories. And the last thing I want to review with you guys is angles. So let's take a look at what those are. We talked about this yesterday during our lesson. So angles, and we talked about there being 3 types. There are right angles, which make those perfect square corners that we've been talking about. There are, I'll label these afterwards, acute angles, which are angles that are less than 90 degrees. So they haven't made it all the way up to like standing up straight like this one has, like a square corner. And there are obtuse angles, which I'll draw down on the bottom, which are ones that are greater than 90 degrees. So see how that's like opened really wide? That's an obtuse angle. So we have a right angle. We have an acute angle. And we have an obtuse angle. Okay, so that's kind of the review for today. Basic outline of what we have been working on lately. That none of that should have been new learning. That should have been stuff that we already have covered and that you're just making sure that you understand fully. Now I'm going to go and show you the work that we have to do today and what a tetromino is. So let's switch my share here and go to my screen. And we are going to find our assignment for tomorrow. Sorry, I should have had this page open before I started my lesson. Here we go. So I can reason about composing and decomposing polygons using tetrominos. And what a tetromino is, you'll find on this last slide. So these are the 4 tetrominos. So we have, you'll notice they all have 4 squares that make them up, and they come in shapes that look like shapes that you would play with in Tetris. And what we would do if we were all together is we would have paper and cut these out, or actually I think we might even have a set in the classroom of like actual ones. And we would practice making and breaking apart different shapes of them. And I would give you specific directions on what to do and what to try to make and what colors to use and the patterns you try to put them together with. And it would help you build sort of a spatial understanding. It would help you understand how things go together and using the sizes and the shapes and the way things are composed in order to make their proper shape. So obviously we can't do that from afar. One of the downsides here of distance learning. However, I do want you to be familiar that these things exist in case you're asked to use them again in 4th grade or beyond. You could, of course, you could take these and make a set yourself if you want to play around with them at home. You could draw them out and cut them out on paper and play with them. The basic question it's going to ask you today is what is the area of each one of the tetrominos? I'll give you a hint. It's all, but the area is the same. So that concept is a review as well because we've covered area quite a bit. That said, next week we're going to get back into some more area and perimeter work. So some of that will be review and some of that will be new learning. But I'm excited for you guys to move forward because I think that there's some pretty fun lessons, and that's a really important distinction, learning the difference between area and perimeter. So I'm excited for our class to tackle that together. All right, guys. This shouldn't be a lesson that takes too long for you guys. I probably talked longer than I need to today. Most of it was review. And if you have any questions about any of the new stuff, I'll do my best to answer it. Again, it's a little difficult because we don't actually have these pieces to use together. So I'll do my best to answer questions if you have them, but I'm guessing you probably won't have many questions at all since I'm not asking you to do anything with them. All right, guys, have a wonderful day.